Hello YouTube, it's Tempest CFV here. I'm bringing you my main deck for the format. Um, Now, I have a guy who used to go to my locals. I think he might still go to my locals. I just don't go there often enough. My local is back in Frederick, not in Baltimore. I go to school. Um, but yeah, he's just known for being not even the biggest asshole like in real life, but when he plays Yu-Gi-Oh, he's the biggest asshole because he plays stun. Every format he plays stun. It was like a couple formats ago he played Malefic, and then it was TG stun after that, and then it was I think it was Agents after that, and then after that he switched over to back to Malefics, and then he played Monarchs, and then he played Gravekeepers, and then TG came back, so he played TG Stun again. You get the idea. And then so basically he was like the god of artifact format, and he still is as far as I know, unless he doesn't play anymore. So I hate Stun because of that one guy. But in this format, I decided that I can't compete with everyone else that goes to my school. Everybody else is playing Shadow. Everybody else is playing Constellar. Um, Constellar? No, Satellar Knight. That's right, not Constellar. God, fuck me. Um, no. So I decided to play anti-meta Fire Fists instead of 3.5 axis. I was gonna play 4 axis, and then I was like, okay, I'll just play +1. And then what it turned into was basically a stun deck, unfortunately. So it's essentially +1 4 axis Fire Fist with a Trap Tricks engine, but this is Fire Fist stun. So I'll go over the deck. This isn't my ideal final build. Not all the monsters. I don't have everything for it. I don't have all the traps I need for it, and everything is fucking expensive. It would probably take me at least 150 bucks to finish this deck out with the full extra deck. So I may or may not run this at local events, but we'll see as the time goes on. So for monsters, you play 3 bear and 1 gorilla, your main beast warriors. 1 wolf park. Wolf park's at 3, but this is the only one I own. And so I'm playing 2 Call of the Haunted to make up for it. Call of the Haunted is not as good as Wolf Park because with Call of the Haunted, you play it and you get 1 monster from your grave. With Wolf Park, you commit it to board, and then you say, I'm going to get another monster from my grave, and then from that you can make an Xyz play. You can't make an Xyz play with Call of the Haunted. So clearly this card is way bad in comparison to Wolf Park. Now, this card is very good in the actual +1 build, and I would be maining it if it weren't for all the other anti-meta shit I'm manning. But otherwise, this would be a very good card to run in this deck. I just don't have space for it. In theory, I could make the space, but I just don't want to because there's so much good shit in this deck. You'll see in a minute. And then so for my Trap Tricks engine is standard. I'm just playing 3 Myrmeleo and 2 Dionia. This is the other reason why Call the Haunted is actually good because Trap Tricks monsters get effects when they're normal summoned, and they also get effects when they're special summoned. So like Myrmeleo lets you add a Trap Hole card from your deck to your hand when she's normal summoned. When she's special summoned, you get to pop a card, pop a back row. So that's very helpful. Dionia, when she's summoned, she's like Wolfbark, who gets to special summon a Trap Tricks from grave. So you use her to get Myrmeleo, and Myrmeleo pops a card. Or she can also be used to grab Dionia, and then when you special summon Dionia, you get to add a Trap Hole from your graveyard to your hand. So if you have her in grave already, and you play another one to her, bring her out, and then you get to add Trap Hole back to hand. So that's kind of nice. I don't actually play Trap Hole, but you get to add a Trap Hole card. So that's the Trap Tricks engine. And then I play 2 card carve to help me with deck thinning. That's it. So 14 monsters there. Spells. I've got 9 thinners, triple upstart, triple duality, and triple tanky. Not all these thinning cards are really necessary, but I do like to kind of thin out my deck and grab combo pieces. Partially because I only have the 1 Wolf Park, and it's kind of helpful to dig for this, to dig for Wolf Park, because it's really helpful for the final turn plays. If I had 3, I could probably cut these, and then I could play Call of the Haunted or something else. But you know, this works just fine for thinning. And then the last card is 1 Soul Charge. This isn't actually the last spell that I play, but the rest of this deck is all stun, so I'm gonna go over it all together. Basically, this card is not really even mandatory. I wasn't even playing it. I was actually playing it in place of I think a Call of the Haunted, because I was gonna play 3 Call and then this and 1 Wolf Park. But even this card is just really good. Like if you're at late game and you draw this, or if you just got wiped out and you draw this, if you have at least 2 monsters in your grave plus a monster in hand, or if you have 3 monsters in grave, this card's going to be a win button for you because you can get 2 monsters from grave. If one of them is Wolfbark, you get the third one from grave. Or you can get 2 monsters from grave, play a third one from hand, and then make an Xyz play and go off that way. So this card's very important to have. Alright, so that's all my offensive spells, essentially. There's 10 of those. And then I have all my stun lineups. So this much of the deck is stun. And basically my philosophy with having since played this deck is I just basically play all of my hate cards in 2-ofs. Because I'll be likely to see at least one of anything I need in a given game. And then in game 2, if I don't need a certain card, I'll like side it out for other hate cards potentially. And usually the stuff I side out and the stuff I side in is going to be more effective for the most part. That's just how the format's been turning out so far. As it goes on, I might end up cutting more of this stuff for like main deck Call of the Haunteds. And then as the format goes on, I can like cut like upstarts and calls from my main deck when I go to siding, and that makes it easier to side. But ideally, you play everything in 2-of in this deck. So you play 2 space. You don't need more than that. This is just for randomly hitting like pendulum monsters and stuff. You have the gorilla in here, so you don't only need to run a third one in the main board. Anyway, you don't need to run the third one in the main. The gorilla usually helps you with that, and also Murmelio can pop back row by specialing her. So there's that. 1 book, 1 compulse. They're basically the same thing. Generic spot removal, so effect negation by flipping it down, attack negation by flipping stuff down or bouncing it. You know, monster removal with an Xyz, or stopping synchro plays or Xyz plays. They basically play the same role in the deck, but this card does a lot better because it just bounces back to hand. We got 4 summon negations: Bottomless, Nightmare, Deep Dark, and Solemn Warning. So I do play 4 of these, but like I said, I play like 2 of each summoning negation card basically. So with 3 Murmelio, it makes sense to run 3 trap hole cards. I'm not running 2 Nightmare because Clifford's are coming out literally next week, and this card's pretty good against Clifford's. So what Deep Dark does is when a level 5 or higher effect monster is special summoned, you can banish a level 5 or higher monster. Now Clifford's special summon themselves. If they're special summoned by Pendulum Summon, they become level 4. So that doesn't actually work with Deep Dark Trap Hole. But if your opponent has Skill Drain on board, which most players do use, their effects will be negated, and then they'll all become the same level that they usually are. In that case, Deep Dark Trap Hole will be very good, and will be able to banish all of their shit at once, which is really good. So otherwise, I'd main 2 of these because these are just so good. You can stop your opponent from using random stuff. The other reason I play this is because of Shadows. This card doesn't do much against Shadows. Like, it does a little bit. But mostly your opponent's cards activate in the graveyard with Shadows, and you usually want to stop their fusion summons, so you usually play this instead, because that can get rid of Winda and Construct and prevent them from getting their effects because they banish them. So, and then Warning is Warning, and Bottomless is Bottomless. These are like obvious cards, so come on. Next, we play 2 Breakthrough Skill for effect negation. It was either this or Fiendish Chain, and the fact that you can use this during your turn to negate some of the other stuff out there is just kind of helpful. I do have Fiendish Chain inside in case I want to shift stuff around, but this card is probably the best effect negation card in the game at the moment. Double Deep Prison for spot removal. This is basically in here for Winda because a lot of the stuff in this deck doesn't hit Winda, but this does. And El Shadow Winda is a really annoying card. So besides that, it just does good stuff against many other decks, especially like Burning Abyss is really good against Dante. And it's easily side-outable. You can side in other stuff instead. And then the next card we have is 2 Dark Bribe. Ideally, this would be in my sideboard because normally I'd have Vanity's Emptiness in the main, which I'll go to in a second. But this card is just a generic, really good card in the format. It's basically in here to stop Shadows from doing anything. You just play this and negate Shadow Fusion, and then you're just good. Everything else you can just use Wiretap for, but this is really in there for the random generic spell negation. So mainly this is for Shadows, but there's a couple other decks out there that you can use this on. Ideally, I would side this though. I'm just manning it because I don't have space for. I mean, I have the space for it in my main, so I'm manning it. And then double Wiretap because mainly for negating random traps and shit. It's just helpful for stopping other plays. Ideally, I think these and these would come out in my final build, which I'm playing on Dueling Network right now. I have the 3 Wolfbark in my final build, so the calls are cut, and I have 2 Wolfbark, so I have 3 Wolfbark instead. And then these 4 cards are all sided, and these 3 are Vanity's Emptiness. This one is a Tenki. or Tensu. The reason I'm not maining Tensu is because I would, but I only have like 5 Beast Warrior cards. So, and then with the Call to Hunt on top of that, that only means I think I only have 10 level 4 monsters in this deck. So having the Tensu is searchable, but it doesn't really help me out that much when it comes to like extending my plays. So I would be playing it. Oh well, with only one Wolfbark in this build currently, Tensu doesn't help me extend my plays any. But if I have the 3, then I can really start to go off because then I can just tank in Wolfbark, Myrmeleo, Search, Wolfbark, and yeah, that just becomes a lot more consistent when I get the third, second and third Wolfbark. So obviously Tensu, and then Vanity's Emptiness is the best drop of the format. This deck doesn't really need the special summon alt to win. You can just sit on Bear or Myrmeleo and then just push. And then when you need to destroy something with Bear, you can destroy your Tenki, destroy their card, and then Vanities goes away. And you can just go off and then set another Vanities and go. So I'm gonna get at least 2 Vanities and put them in here. Not sure when, because they're still 25 to 30 apiece for commons. So we'll see when that bridge is crossed. I'll come to it, and I'll probably do an update to this deck. Yeah, that's the whole lineup really. I'll go into the extra deck right now. The extra deck isn't complete. It's far from it. I'm missing at least 5 rank 4s. So 2 T-King. You can probably get away with 1. I've never summoned more than 1. I just play 2 because I own 2. You just use it to get tanky, and then you negate your opponent's effects. Kagasuchi, because he's a generic beater. Ideally, I'd probably cut him from the final build, but being a 25 beater is good. I think I'm running Karen Gorgon instead of him in my final build. I'm not entirely sure. 1 Cardinal, it's really good if you can make it because usually you can just plus so hard off of it and just kill your opponent's stuff, so it's really good. Just to have as a 1-of. Direwolf because you summon Beast Warriors in this deck really easily and he's easy to make. You can even make him with Trap Tricks cards and then use a Beast Warrior to do that. Worst comes to worst, you can always pop himself to pop the 1 card in your opponent's field. It's really obnoxious. Heartland Draco, this is a tech choice of mine. What he does is he can't be targeted for attacks if you have like a face-up continuous spell card on the field, and then you can detach 1 to have him swing directly during that turn, but your other monsters can't attack. So if you're basically sitting on him and Tenki or Tensu, he can't be attacked, so you can't take any damage, and then you can swing directly at your opponent for 2,000, which is pretty good. Just random for random combos, and it's just kind of a cute card. Black Ship, because it's Black Ship, it's amazing. Exiton, obviously. Cowboy, I'm keeping this in the final build because it's Cowboy. Castel, this is a really good new Xyz monster. Just lets you detach 2 to bounce a card back to the deck, or detach 1 to flip the monster face down. Papal Operative, I think I kept this in my final build. I don't remember. Yeah, I think I did. And then in this build, I'm playing Maestroke, Utopia, Roach, and Pearl, because these are the only other rank 4s that I have. This deck absolutely needs the following cards to function. It absolutely needs the Vovul Chain. It needs 101 Shark. Silent Honor Arc is what it's called. I just call it Shark. And what's the other one it needs to function? Let's see. Shark. I said Karen Gorgon already. Abyss Dweller. Abyss Dweller is the other one because Abyss Dweller gets rid of lots of anti-meta. It's just a good anti-meta card for stopping the opponent's cards. And then I also run Daigusto Emerald and Karen Gorgon, like I said, on Dueling Network because Karen Gorgon's a good 2400 beater, and he's kind of relevant. And then Emerald just helps you retrieve your advantage, basically. So that's what I'm running in online. Ideally, that's probably the best rank 4 lineup you can come up with. For these 2, basically, I'm just down to my last option. Pick 1. I prefer Pappy over Maestroke, but I think that this is really good. These 4 cards are all getting cut. This is coming out for Shark, Karen Gorgon. This is coming out for this is coming out for the Vovul Chain. This is coming out for the Emerald if I get 1, and then I would probably cut the Kagasuchi or one of the Tiger Kings for a Dweller. So as the Xyz monsters, you basically play all rank 4s in this deck. There's not really any point in playing anything else. You don't really need to play anything else. For a side deck, double max C. For special summoning decks, with Vanities in main, this card becomes less relevant, but basically if you do draw it, it's a win more card, so that's very helpful. Double Shared Ride. This is basically Droll and Lockbird. When your opponent tries to add cards to their hand, you can play this, and then for the rest of the turn, anytime they would add cards to their hand, you can just draw one card. So it's basically Max C, but instead of when your opponent special summons, you get to draw. It's when your opponent tries to add cards from their deck or graveyard to their hand. Special, you draw cards. So I like this card a lot. I think it's going to be a lot better when the format develops more and we get Cleforts and Nekloths and other stuff to come out. But I think this card is not amazing right now, but I'm keeping it in here for when other stuff does come out. One Dark Hole. Ideally, this would be Regeki because Regeki is busted, and I don't have space for it in my main. So, yeah. Third space, Double Prohibition. This is getting cut for the D prisons I mentioned earlier because those are going to come out for Vanity's Emptinesses in the main. One Nightmare Inside and one Deep Dark Inside. Basically, when Cleforts come out, this is going to be sided in instead of this because for the most part, this is going to be a lot more relevant, I think. Also, this card's really good against Nekloths. And basically, if you feel like your opponent's going to be summoning a lot more, and you know that you can, and you know these cards will be more helpful than say Breakthrough Skill, you can just put these in. It's just so easy. And they're both searchable because you have trap fix cards. So there's that. You can play these, you cannot play these. There's probably other options for you to play. Up to you. Double Mind Crush. This is going to come out for the 2 Dark Bribes I mentioned earlier. They're not as good. Like Dark Bribe is really only really relevant for me against Shadows. In any other matchup, I could just get away with using Wiretap. So there's not really any point. Nothing really searches as far as I know, and anything that does search, like I said, I have Shared Ride for. So not really any point in playing this. And then, like I said, the other card that you do search for is the other deck that searches is Burning Abyss. And so if you send cards from Burning Abyss with this, they get their effects, and then that's not even good. So you just want to use Shared Ride for the most part. And so yeah, I need to get Vanities basically. Double Fiendish for extra effect negation and for stopping attacks, and then 1 Soul Drain for stopping cards that activate in the graveyard. Really sad this card is at 1. It needs to be at more because there are so many effects that activate in the graveyard. It's not even funny. Alright, so hope it didn't run too long. That's my stun deck. I tried to talk through it pretty quickly. If you have any questions, comments, suggestions, please be sure to comment below. If you enjoyed the video, give me a thumbs up. And if you want to see more Yu-Gi-Oh content, be sure to subscribe to my channel and watch my other videos. So yeah, that's it. Thanks for watching.